You trust the babysitter, believe they'll keep your child safe. But what if, instead of protection, they bring harm? What if, behind that innocent smile, lurks something far more sinister? This is the chilling story of Christine Falling, the babysitter who turned into a silent predator. A troubled girl shaped by a disturbing past, whose dark urges went unnoticed until it was far too late. To understand the horror of Christine Falling, we first need to step back to the origins of her twisted mind. Born in 1973 in Perry, Florida, Christine's life was bleak from the start. Raised in a household riddled with neglect and dysfunction, she was surrounded by instability. She was frequently moved between relatives, never forming a strong attachment to any parental figure. But there was something even darker lurking beneath the surface. From a young age, Christine displayed disturbing behaviors. She was obsessed with death, often talking about it in ways that unsettled those around her. Relatives recalled that she had an unnatural fascination with watching animals die, a chilling red flag ignored at the time. She suffered from violent outbursts and was prone to fits of rage, which grew more intense as she aged. Perhaps most disturbingly, she often spoke of voices telling her to hurt things, to smother, to silence, to watch life fade away. But Christine was never given the help she needed. Instead, she was shuffled from home to home, her dark urges growing unchecked. And by the time she reached her early teens, she was already on a path towards something truly terrifying. By the time Christine was 17, she had become the neighborhood babysitter. Parents saw her as an innocent, overweight teenager who looked far younger than her age. She seemed quiet, even timid, a stark contrast to what lurked beneath. Her first victim was 3-year-old Cassidy Johnson. The toddler was left in Christine's care, and within hours she stopped breathing. Christine claimed the child had simply fallen off the couch, but doctors couldn't explain why her lungs had filled with fluid, a telltale sign of smothering. At the time, there were no visible injuries, no clear evidence of wrongdoing. Authorities ruled the death as natural causes, and Christine walked away without suspicion. But just weeks later, another tragedy struck. 4-year-old Jeffrey Davis, another child under Christine's care, suddenly collapsed and died. Again, Christine was the only one present, and once again, the cause was inexplicable fluid buildup in the lungs. If there were any doubts about Christine Falling, they should have ended here, but instead, she was allowed to continue babysitting. Only 3 days after Jeffrey Davis's death, Christine was watching his cousin, Joseph Spring. And like clockwork, tragedy struck again. The child was rushed to the hospital, barely clinging to life. This time, doctors suspected foul play, but before they could investigate further, Joseph died. 3 deaths, all under one babysitter's care. And still, Christine remained free. She later took a job caring for an elderly man, William Swindle. Within hours of her first shift, he was dead. Christine claimed he had collapsed while eating lunch. Once again, there was no clear evidence of foul play, but the bodies were piling up, and soon the walls began closing in. For months, Christine had been getting away with murder, but her mistakes were catching up to her. When authorities finally took a closer look, they noticed a disturbing pattern. All of the victims had fluid-filled lungs with no medical explanation. It wasn't until the death of 10-week-old Travis Coleman, smothered in his crib, that the puzzle pieces finally connected. Christine was arrested. At first, she denied everything, but under pressure, the truth unraveled, and it was more chilling than anyone could have imagined. She confessed that she had been hearing voices, dark, whispering voices that told her to kill children. She admitted to smothering them, describing a strange urge to watch them fall asleep permanently. She even detailed how she used a pillow, a blanket, or her bare hands, always making sure they couldn't scream. It was the stuff of nightmares. A babysitter, a figure of trust, turned into a silent predator. But why? What made Christine Falling a killer? Was she born this way? Or was she created? Experts later diagnosed Christine with borderline personality disorder and schizophrenia, conditions that had gone untreated throughout her childhood. The neglect, instability, and trauma she endured only fueled her violent urges. Her fascination with death had been a warning sign, one that no one had taken seriously. And by the time she reached adolescence, her fantasies had turned into reality. Had she been given the right psychological intervention? Could these tragedies have been prevented? We may never know. In 1982, Christine Falling was sentenced to life in prison. At just 19 years old, she became one of the youngest female serial killers in American history. She showed little remorse, often appearing confused or even detached from her actions. The chilling part: she was described as having a childlike innocence, a stark contrast to the evil she carried within. Though she later appealed for early release, she was denied. She remains behind bars, where she will likely spend the rest of her life. But her case still haunts those who hear it. How did so many people miss the warning signs? How did a 17-year-old babysitter get away with multiple murders before anyone noticed? And perhaps the most disturbing question of all, were there more victims? Christine Falling's case is one of the most chilling reminders that sometimes the real monsters don't hide in the shadows. They walk among us. They smile. They earn our trust. And by the time we realize the truth, it's already too late. What do you think? Could Christine's dark urges have been prevented? Or was she always destined to become a killer? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this case chilling, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and always trust your instincts.